Hello, friends. This is Chandrakant from Akulmach Technologies, and today is Indian Constitution Day. And we will talk about the Constitution. But before starting the subject discussion, let me invite my friend from UK, Mr. Naval Gun.
Good morning, CK, and happy anniversary, Indian Constitution Day. And I think a lot of people outside of India have got an idea about what this is. But why don't you go into a few details? Because it's such an important day in the country's development. But there's links that we can look at in your company's development. So we're still saying with the letter C, country and company. But let's talk about India Constitution Day and see where this has come from, because I think there's some great analogies that we can pick up here in our own business.
You see, Naval, India is a very new country. Even though the civilization has been around for thousands of years, but India as a country is a new country, and the Indians got an opportunity to get together, put their minds together, and get the best of all humanity. So the Indian work on constitution started in 1946. It took them 4 years, and there was a committee which was driving the whole initiative to create the world longest constitution. Indian constitution has 90 pages and it has 145,000 words, and that makes it very long constitution with 395 articles. But
Wow.
it's a very well uh, organized, and they have taken the best of breed at that point in time. And I will come to that. You know why Indian Constitution is very important for the global economy also. So it took them 4 years to write the entire constitution. It was ready in 1949. The final review was done, and it was then launched on January 26, 1950, making India a sovereign country. What is important in Indian Constitution is it gives freedom of federalism. So the inspiration the forefathers got was from the United States, where the federalism was very important for freedom, because those were the days of colonies, and the federal structure became very important. That means, for example, if you look at India, there are 29 states. So India as a country, considering the federal state of the union, it is much bigger. It's twice the size of European Union. So you can imagine, if you compare European Union, it has France, Germany, UK just got out of it. But there are different countries speaking different languages, having different legal structure. It is the same way Indian country operates. That 29 states have different language, different legal structure, and different processes, different government. In the end, they all report to the central government. So there is a freedom of federalism which is incorporated very deeply into it, and that gives freedom for any country who would like to join the union. It is allowed. Say, for example, in future, some other country says that, hey, I would like to join Indian Union, like Oman or UAE. There is enough freedom given, as long as the people of that country, follow the Indian Constitution. There is no problem. They can operate independently as a federal state within Indian subcontinent. So that is a very important aspect of Indian Constitution. Number two is the equality and liberty. The equality and liberty, the inspiration came from 1946 Constitution of France, and that was majorly driven to in the Constitution. So every human being born or citizen of India is absolutely equal, whether men or women of any religion, speaking any languages. And that gives a good push to Indian society as one nation, because you can actually bring your own culture, you can bring your own language, yet you will be equal like anybody else. So that gives a lot of freedom of equality and freedom to follow your own religion. Then The constitution should not be scribbled in stone like 10 commandments. So the inspiration was from South Africa, where the amendment to any article of constitution was allowed. So the power to change constitution was given to the parliament or the assembly. The assembly can form the laws, can be discussed in legislative assembly of state, and the state can implement their own specific laws, and the parliament can create the countrywide law system, and they can also change the constitution. And the fourth most important thing is uh, the legal system. Judiciary has been kept out. Very, very important aspect. It has been kept out from all elections, all legislative powers, all parliamentary powers. So the legal system is totally independent. That is why in Indian subcontinent, the judiciary is called the second pillar of democracy. Because if you have a problem with the government, you can always approach the court and overturn the government ruling. So that is very, very important. And number five is freedom of speech. So this is a mantra for the Indian people. They can write anything. They can comment on anyone. There is nothing called like monarch. If you go to some other countries, I'm not naming the country, but you can talk about government, but you can't talk anything about against the monarch. Um, so all that is not applicable in India. You can criticize each and everyone. You can joke on everything. You can make cartoons on anything. So it is completely free, and that is why the press or is completely free. They can make any comment on anyone, ask any question freely on any channel, and that becomes the third pillar of democracy. So these are certain things which are part of the constitution. Constitution is very long. We can't discuss all of it, but I think we can get inspired because our founding fathers got inspired from the world's best, and they created this constitution, which is very flexible, yet it enforces rule of law, and they got it from the UK. So since I'm ending my monologue on UK, you can take over, Neil.
Well, thank you, CK, for that walk through history, because a lot of people don't know where these things come from. And you mentioned a couple of times here, and you started it off with best in breed, because that's what we should all be doing, looking at the best in breed at the time, not adopting it 100%, but seeing whether or not you can improve it. And I'm sure there was little twists of improvement that the Indian government at the time, we're talking last century, we're not talking thousands of years ago, but we are talking last century, over 70 years ago. And that the important thing here is that they took what was working around the world. Now, at the time, they didn't have Google. They couldn't go and cut and paste at the time. There was no PC where they could literally edit, copy, edit, paste. So they literally had to create this from scratch. But they took the best of breed, which was out there around the world. And this is where we can make lessons today. So I said at the beginning, we can take lessons into our own organization. And just like the Indian Constitution, it was to develop good governance. Now, governance is a long word, really, and a lot of people don't completely understand it. But in your organization, you need good governance. You need freedom of speech. You need your employees to say what they like and what they don't like. You want them to come forward and say what's good about what we do, what we can improve, and perhaps where we need to diversify. This is good governance in any organization. And so today, with this very special day in the Indian history, any Indian company, now take a look at your own governance. Are you doing what you say you're doing? Are you giving equal opportunity to everybody? Not just the C-suite, the chief exec, the COO, the CIO, the CTO, and the EIEIEIO, as someone might have called a boardroom, to everybody in your organization, because they all contribute. They all add value. If they don't add value, they wouldn't be employed. It's as simple as that. So just work through your organization, however big or however small you are, even a one man band. You can start looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, am I doing what I'm saying? Do I say what I do? It's a simple equation. You know, the mathematicians in the world would love it. You know, the philosophers in the world would love it even more. You know, be who you really are, and that's who people see you as. And it's as simple as that. And this is where this governance arena, this constitution actually gets very personal. So here's an opportunity. Take the personal day. Is it a holiday for this huge benchmark in your history? Is it a national holiday?
It is not a national holiday. Today is a day when the constitution was finally approved, but what was not implemented in 1949, which is 26 November. It was implemented on 26 January 1950. So today is a constitution day because it is finally ready, but we don't have a holiday on this day.
Well, that's an important time because it was finally ready for people to understand. So again, in a company, you've got a document which is finally ready to promote not just to your organization but outside your organization. So just imagine the marketing document that's taken weeks or months to prepare. Now's the day to get it out there. So take a leaf out of this very special day in the Indian history and start doing things that are simple. Use the prompt of these national events to look very locally, very specifically in what you do and get the benefit out of it. And the nice thing about these national days is you don't have to remember them because everyone tells you about them. You can read them in the paper. So it should be that little prompt that just jogs your memory. So this is great for the Indian nation. What does it mean for me? How can I take that and improve it in my organization? And tell the story about where this has come from. Just as we've done today, this is a story. It's history. So it's a his story. Okay? It's gone. It's past. It's fact. Use the facts and develop them within your organization. This is so simple and a simple message from today. And I'm so pleased that we can share it with everybody on a very special day for 1.4 billion Indians, wherever they are around the world. So let's get on with it. Let's go and have some introspection about what we do. Use this day as an opportunity for change, because that's how we improve.
So, Neville, you mentioned a very strong and powerful word called introspection. And here, how I will introspect myself. See, what happens is that the people which are in power, they actually draw power and they actually think they are the gods or the ruler or the monarch of that land. So, Indian Constitution does not allow that. There is no absolute power center in India. For instance, the governance is under the Prime Minister of India, which is selected by the people of the entire country. All 1.4 billion citizens of India will vote for one person. Whoever wins becomes a Prime Minister. Um, Yet, Prime Minister does not have power to control the armed services. That is a precedent. So the chief of army or air force or navy is the president. So he is another power center, but he is not absolute power center. And so his prime minister is not an absolute power center. Uh, Chief Justice of India, which is the head of all judges across the judiciary, is also limited power. I mean, Chief Justice can remove the Indian government. The Chief Justice has the power to remove the Indian government from the power itself. And so, there are many examples like that. So, Indian Constitution does not allow any absolute power center across the board. There is no power center in India. So, bunch of people have to work together. So, you mentioned word like introspection. I think that is the introspection. Why in a company? Why we always look at power centers? We always look at, hey, you are so and so. You have so much power in your company. Whereas the Indian government is not driven by that policy. They don't believe in absolute power. Second thing I would like to get inspired is the federal structure of the subcontinent. So you have your state being governed by a local government, which is also elected by people, yet you become an Indian. So it is a perfect example of distributed workforce. You see, Indian subcontinent is not governed by New Delhi, the central government. It is governed by various 29 different governments. So it's a perfect example of distributed workforce. Yet in companies, in private sector, we find it so difficult to distribute our work. People want to see employee sitting in front of their own eyes on a desk in his office. They have no faith on a distributed workforce. So I think these are the two critical points I will draw for today from my own constitution.
No, that's brilliant. And the nice thing is, as you say, we can draw the best from the best and implement it into our own organisation. And I hope the people listening today can see the analogy between one and another. They are one and the same. So in the country, the prime minister is elected by everybody. A chief exec actually is elected by the shareholders, which are everybody. So, and that's in a large organization. So there's a lot of similar things going on here, but one thing that you picked up on is the power base. A lot of the problem we have in the world today is because you've allowed the power base in your organization to get out of control. Take back control. Move it forward for where the purpose of the organization was when it was first founded. And I'm going to leave you with a little simple message here. And we all know about Henry Ford and how creative he was, creating the first production line, in essence, in many respects. And the Model T Ford came from his thoughts, and he created a good team around him. He was a bit of a dictator in many respects, but he did come up with some great phrases that have lasted the test of time. And one is, if you think you can, or you think you can't, you're right. So on this very special day in India, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're absolutely right. But get into the can, because now's the opportunity for introspection and a bit of change. And it's one small change makes a big impact, as we say in the MindFit world. So it's been a pleasure speaking with you today on this very special day. Thank you very much for taking time out of your calendar. And I hope everyone's listening and just literally just have a look in the mirror, because that's where you start.
Thank you very much, Neville. It was a special day for all Indians, and hopefully our message and your wisdom goes through, and some of the people start doing introspection who are in the arena of SMEs or chief executives. I think it's a great day for inspiring not only Indians, but anybody who wants to read the Indian Constitution and get inspired.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I will catch up with you tomorrow in the roundtable, and you have a nice day.
And you too. Good luck, everybody.
Bye bye.